It was a quiet night in the futuristic city of Neon Heights. The sky was dark, and the stars twinkled like diamonds far away. Inside a sleek, modern house, bright lights flickered. This was the home of Alex, a young scientist. He was known for his brilliant ideas and inventions. Tonight, he was working on something special in his high-tech lab. Alex was excited. He had spent weeks developing a new device that could change energy into light. He believed it could help people see better at night and save energy. The machine was complicated, filled with wires and glowing screens. As he focused on his work, he adjusted the settings and watched the machine hum softly. The lights danced around the room, casting colorful shadows on the walls. In the next room, Sarah, the maid, was finishing her chores. She was tired, but always worked hard to keep the house clean. Sarah was a kind woman, but she felt out of place in this high-tech world. She often wondered what it would be like to work on amazing inventions like Alex did. While she cleaned, she could hear the faint sounds of machines buzzing from Alex's lab. Suddenly, Sarah glanced at the clock on the wall. It was much later than she thought. She grabbed the duster and decided to check on Alex. She knew he often lost track of time when he was working. She pushed open the door to the lab, not knowing what to expect. As she entered, Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. The room was filled with strange lights and colors. Alex was focused on his machine, and the air crackled with energy. For a moment, she was frozen in place, unable to speak. "Wow," she whispered to herself, staring at the glowing orbs floating in the air. They sparkled like tiny stars, and she felt a mix of wonder and fear. Startled by her presence, Alex looked up. "Sarah, you scared me," he said, his voice a mix of surprise and excitement. He quickly turned off the machine, and the lights dimmed. "I didn't expect anyone to come in. It's quite late." Sarah took a step forward, her heart racing. "I'm sorry, Alex. I was just checking on you. I didn't know you were working on something like this." She glanced around the room, her eyes wide with curiosity. Alex smiled, feeling a rush of pride. "This is my latest invention. It can transform energy into light. I'm trying to make it safer and more efficient." He gestured to the machine, and the lights flickered back on, illuminating the room. "Can you show me how it works?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with excitement. She had always been interested in science, but she never had the chance to learn. Alex could see the spark in her eyes and nodded eagerly. "Of course. Let me explain." He pointed to the machine's controls. "This part converts energy, and this one directs the light. When I make adjustments, the machine responds. Watch." He pressed a button, and the glowing orbs danced around the room again, moving in a playful manner. Sarah clapped her hands in delight. "That's amazing. It's like magic." She took a step closer, captivated by the colorful lights. "I've never seen anything like this before." Alex laughed. "It does feel a bit like magic, but it's all science. Here, let me show you how to adjust the settings." He stepped aside, inviting her to take a closer look. Together, they spent the next few minutes exploring the machine. Alex explained each part simply, making sure Sarah understood. As they worked together, Sarah began to feel more confident. She was amazed at how quickly she learned. "What if you could use this to help people see better at night?" she suggested, "like streetlights or car headlights." Alex's eyes lit up with excitement. "That's a brilliant idea. We could save so much energy. I never thought of that." He admired her creativity, realizing that her practical mind could help him make his invention even better. For the next hour, they shared ideas and worked on the machine, laughing and talking as if they were old friends. Sarah felt alive, and for the first time, she believed she could be part of something important. Alex, too, enjoyed her company. He found her perspective refreshing and inspiring. As the clock ticked away, they lost track of time, completely absorbed in their project. Sarah didn't feel tired anymore. She felt excited. She realized that being in Alex's lab made her dream of becoming an engineer seem possible. Finally, as the night wore on, Alex looked at the clock and gasped. "Wow, it's really late. I should have let you go home." He felt a bit guilty for keeping her so long. Sarah smiled softly. "It's okay. I enjoyed it. I never thought I would learn so much in one night." She felt a sense of purpose growing within her, something she had always wished for. As they prepared to leave the lab, Alex turned to Sarah. "Thank you for coming in tonight. You have great ideas, and I'd love for you to help me with this project." Sarah's heart swelled with happiness. "I'd love that, Alex." With that, their unlikely friendship began, setting the stage for adventures ahead. A shocking surprise. The next evening, Sarah returned to the lab with a sense of excitement bubbling inside her. She had been thinking about the project all day. Her mind was full of ideas and questions. What could they create together? What problems could their invention solve? She arrived at the house and headed straight to the lab. Alex was already there, working hard. The machine hummed with energy, and the air sparkled with colorful lights. As Sarah walked in, she felt a rush of warmth. It was as if the lab welcomed her, inviting her to explore. "Hey, Sarah," Alex called out, looking up from his work. "I'm glad you're here. I've made some changes to the machine. I think it will work even better now." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Really? What did you change?" She stepped closer, eager to see the improvements. Alex smiled and pointed to a new panel on the machine. "I added a stabilizer. It helps control the energy flow. I believe it will make the light brighter and more stable." He pressed a button, and the machine responded with a soft, whirring sound. Suddenly, the lights in the lab began to flicker. Sarah looked up, her excitement quickly turning to worry. Alex, is it supposed to do that?" Before he could answer, the machine surged with energy, and a bright flash filled the room. Both Sarah and Alex covered their eyes, surprised by the sudden brightness. When they opened their eyes, they gasped at what they saw. A swirling portal had opened above the machine, glowing with brilliant colors. It looked like a window to another world. Sarah stepped back, her heart racing. "What is happening?" she shouted, her voice filled with both fear and wonder. "I don't know," Alex replied, staring in disbelief. He quickly scrambled to the controls, trying to figure out what went wrong. "I need to stabilize it." But before he could press any buttons, strange creatures began to emerge from the portal. They were unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Some looked like glowing jellyfish, floating gracefully through the air, while others resembled small, furry animals with bright eyes. They filled the lab with their strange colors and shapes, creating an otherworldly scene. Sarah's heart raced. "Alex, we need to close that portal," she yelled, her instincts kicking in. The creatures floated around the room, some landing on the machines and others bumping into each other, causing more chaos. "Right. Let's work together," Alex said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He pressed buttons on the control panel, trying to reverse the energy flow. But the portal pulsed, and it didn't seem to want to close. Sarah watched the creatures closely. "What if they're scared? Maybe we can help them," she suggested, trying to calm her own fear. Alex nodded, trying to think clearly. "You might be right. Let's try to guide them back through the portal." He reached for a remote control that allowed him to adjust the lights of the machine. "If we create a path of light, maybe they will follow it back." Sarah jumped into action. "I'll help." She grabbed some of the smaller floating lights and aimed them toward the portal. Together, they created a trail of bright energy leading back to the swirling opening. As the creatures noticed the lights, they began to move toward the glowing path. Some followed the lights, floating through the air like playful children. Others hesitated, looking back at Sarah and Alex as if they were unsure. "Come on, little friends," Sarah encouraged, her heart warming at the sight of the creatures. "This way." With their combined efforts, the glowing orbs led more and more creatures toward the portal. The room began to calm as the chaotic energy started to fade. Sarah felt a sense of relief wash over her, knowing they were helping the creatures find their way back home. Just a little more, Alex said, focusing on the machine's controls. The portal flickered, and the last few creatures finally floated back through. With one final flash of light, the portal closed with a soft pop, leaving the lab quiet once more. Breathing heavily, Sarah and Alex exchanged shocked looks. "We did it," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "That was incredible." Alex let out a laugh, the tension in the room fading. "I can't believe we actually managed that. But we need to figure out what caused the portal to open in the first place." Sarah nodded, still processing everything that had just happened. It felt like an adventure. I never expected to see anything like that in my life. As they began to clean up the lab, they couldn't help but talk about their experience. "I think we can learn a lot from this," Alex said, looking at the machine with newfound determination. "Next time, we need to be more careful with the settings. But we also have to remember that science can take us to places we never dreamed of." Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with joy. "I'm ready for more adventures, Alex. This is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Absolutely," Alex replied, excitement shining in his eyes. "Together, we can explore new ideas and push the boundaries of what we know." With that, they set to work, the thrill of their first adventure lingering in the air. The lab felt like a new place, filled with endless possibilities and the promise of more discoveries to come. Discovering the power. The next day, the sun rose brightly over Neon Heights, bringing a fresh start to Alex and Sarah. They met in the lab early, both buzzing with excitement from the previous night's adventure. Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the glowing creatures, and Alex was eager to refine their invention. "Good morning, Sarah," Alex greeted, his smile wide. "I've been thinking about our next steps. We need to understand what happened with the portal and how to harness the power of the machine." "Good morning, Alex," Sarah replied, her eyes shining. "I can't wait to get started. Do you think we can create something amazing today?" Alex nodded. "Absolutely. Let's focus on controlling the energy better. If we can do that, we can explore new possibilities." They both got to work, looking at the machine and the adjustments Alex had made since their last session. The device stood tall in the center of the lab, humming softly. Its lights flickered, almost as if it was alive. Alex explained how the stabilizer he installed would help maintain a steady flow of energy. "Let's try a test run," Alex suggested. "I'll adjust the settings, and you can help me monitor the energy levels." He felt confident, but also a bit nervous. He wanted to make sure everything went smoothly this time. "Okay, I'm ready," Sarah said, feeling a thrill of excitement. They both took their positions at the control panel, focusing on the glowing machine. As Alex began to make adjustments, Sarah kept her eyes on the energy readings. The lights on the panel changed colors, moving from green to yellow, and finally to a steady blue. "It looks good so far," she exclaimed, a smile spreading across her face. "Great. Now, I'll increase the energy input. Let's see what happens," Alex said, pressing a button carefully. As he did, the machine began to hum louder, and the lights brightened even more. Suddenly, a burst of light shot from the device, filling the room with a warm glow. Sarah gasped, and Alex felt a rush of excitement. "It's working. Look at the energy flow." Sarah watched in awe as the machine produced a beautiful, swirling light. "This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it," she said, mesmerized by the display. The lights danced around the room, creating a magical atmosphere. But then, something unexpected happened. The lights flickered, and the machine began to shake. "Oh, Alex," Sarah shouted, her heart racing. "Is it supposed to do that?" "I don't know," Alex replied, quickly reaching for the controls. "I need to stabilize it." He pressed buttons frantically, trying to regain control, but the machine continued to vibrate. Just then, a bright flash erupted, and the lights went out. The lab was suddenly plunged into darkness. Sarah felt a wave of panic wash over her. "Alex, what happened?" "Stay calm, Sarah. I'm trying to reset the system," Alex said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He fumbled in the dark, looking for the emergency lights. After a moment, the emergency lights flickered on, casting a soft glow over the room. They both sighed in relief. "Okay, we're safe, but we need to figure out what went wrong," Alex said, wiping his brow. Sarah glanced at the machine, still dim but stable. "Do you think we pushed it too far?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "Maybe it needs time to recharge before we try again." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "That could be it. Let's give it a break and discuss what we've learned so far." They sat down at the lab table, surrounded by the soft hum of the machine. "I was amazed by how quickly the energy built up," Sarah began, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "But it seems like there's a limit. We need to find a way to control that better." Alex agreed. "Yes, we need to focus on balancing the energy input and output. If we can create a steady flow, we might be able to explore even greater powers." As they brainstormed, ideas flowed freely. They discussed ways to improve the machine's stability, using simple terms and concepts. Sarah suggested experimenting with different materials to see if they could enhance the energy transfer. "I've seen some materials that can absorb and release energy," she said. "What if we use those to create a buffer?" "That's a great idea," Alex exclaimed. "If we could find a way to manage the energy flow, we could create a steady light source without any risk." Their conversation continued, filled with excitement and hope. They realized that together, they were building something special. They were no longer just a scientist and a maid. They were a team, ready to tackle any challenge. As the day went on, they gathered materials and prepared for more tests. The lab buzzed with energy and laughter as they worked side by side. They built models, adjusted the machine, and shared ideas. Each moment deepened their friendship, and they both felt proud of what they were creating. When the sun began to set, the lab filled with warm, golden light. Alex turned to Sarah, his eyes shining with determination. "I believe we're on the brink of something amazing. Together, we can discover new powers and explore uncharted territory." Sarah smiled back, her heart racing with excitement. "I can't wait to see what we'll create next. This is just the beginning of our journey." With their hearts full of hope and dreams, Alex and Sarah prepared for the next adventure, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. They had discovered the power of collaboration, and together, they knew they could achieve great things, working together. The next morning, Alex and Sarah arrived at the lab with renewed energy. After their discussions the day before, they were ready to put their ideas into action. They felt like explorers about to embark on a great adventure, eager to discover new possibilities together. "Good morning, Sarah," Alex called out, his voice bright with enthusiasm. "Today is the day we make some real progress." "Good morning, Alex," Sarah replied, a smile spreading across her face. "I'm excited to see what we can achieve. Let's get started." They began by reviewing their notes from the previous day. Alex pointed to a sketch he had made of the machine. "We need to modify the stabilizer and add some new materials to improve energy flow. I think we should use some of the crystals I have in my collection." Sarah nodded. "That sounds like a great idea. I've read about those crystals before. They can store energy really well." She felt a sense of pride, knowing she was contributing valuable knowledge. "Exactly," Alex exclaimed. "Let's get to work." He led Sarah to a shelf filled with various tools and materials. Together, they gathered everything they would need for their modifications. As they worked side by side, Sarah could feel the excitement growing between them. They discussed each step, ensuring they both understood the process. Alex demonstrated how to carefully handle the delicate crystals, showing her the right way to place them in the machine. "Be gentle with these," he said, his voice serious. "They're very powerful, but can break easily." Sarah took a deep breath, focusing on her task. "I'll be careful, I promise." She carefully positioned the crystals in the designated slots, feeling the thrill of accomplishment. With every adjustment they made, the machine began to transform. As they worked, they laughed and shared stories about their lives. Alex told Sarah about his childhood, growing up fascinated by science. "I always wanted to invent something that would help people," he said, his eyes sparkling. "I just didn't know how to get started." Sarah smiled, feeling a connection to his story. "I always dreamed of being an engineer, but I never had the chance to learn. Working here with you feels like a dream come true." She appreciated how Alex believed in her, giving her the confidence to explore her interests. Hours passed as they continued to work, and the lab was filled with the sounds of tools clanging and the gentle hum of the machine. They took breaks to share snacks and ideas, growing more comfortable with each other. "Okay, let's test the machine now," Alex said, wiping his hands on a towel. "I think we're ready. I'll adjust the settings, and you keep an eye on the energy levels." Sarah felt a mix of excitement and nerves. "I'm ready. Let's do this." She took her position at the monitor, her heart racing in anticipation. Alex pressed the button to start the machine. At first, nothing happened, and Sarah felt a wave of doubt. "Is it supposed to take this long?" she asked, glancing at Alex. "Sometimes it needs a moment to warm up," he reassured her. "Just be patient." Then, the machine let out a soft hum, and the lights began to flicker on. A beautiful glow filled the room, and Sarah's eyes widened in awe. "It's working. Look at that," she exclaimed, pointing at the colorful lights swirling around the lab. "Yes, we did it," Alex cheered, feeling a rush of excitement. "This is amazing." But just as they began to celebrate, the machine started to shake again. The lights flickered, and Sarah's heart sank. "Oh no, not again," she shouted, feeling panic rising. "Stay calm, Sarah. We can fix this," Alex called, his voice steady. He quickly adjusted the controls, trying to stabilize the energy flow. "Keep an eye on the readings." Sarah focused on the monitor, her fingers hovering over the buttons. "The energy levels are rising too fast. We need to reduce the input." Alex nodded, his eyes narrowing in concentration. "Right. I'll lower it now." He pressed the button, and the machine began to settle, the shaking easing. Slowly, the lights stabilized, and a soft glow filled the lab. Sarah let out a sigh of relief, feeling the tension leave her shoulders. "That was close, but we managed it together." Alex smiled, pride filling his heart. "You did great, Sarah. We make a good team." They exchanged triumphant smiles, feeling a bond grow stronger between them. Each challenge they faced brought them closer, and they both realized they could rely on each other. "Let's keep testing and see how we can improve it further," Sarah suggested, her eyes shining with excitement. "Maybe we can create a new feature that controls the energy output better." "Absolutely," Alex agreed, inspired by her enthusiasm. They went back to work, energized by their success. They spent the rest of the day adjusting the machine, refining their ideas, and discussing new possibilities. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the lab, Alex turned to Sarah. "I'm so glad we're doing this together. I can't imagine working alone anymore." "Me too," Sarah said, her heart full. "I feel like we're really creating something special. I can't wait to see what else we can achieve." With renewed determination, they continued their work, excited about the journey ahead. They had discovered not only the power of science, but also the strength of teamwork and friendship. Together, they were ready to face any challenge that came their way. Trouble strikes. The next day began just like the others. Sarah and Alex arrived at the lab early, ready to continue their exciting project. They felt confident after their recent successes and were eager to push their invention further. The atmosphere in the lab buzzed with energy and anticipation. "Good morning, Sarah," Alex greeted, a smile lighting up his face. "I've been thinking about our next test. I want to see if we can make the machine work even better." "Good morning, Alex," Sarah replied, feeling a thrill of excitement. "I'm ready. Let's make this happen." They quickly got to work, setting up the machine for another round of tests. Alex adjusted the settings while Sarah prepared the crystals they had chosen. Together, they focused on improving the energy output, eager to discover the full potential of their invention. As they worked, Sarah noticed something strange. The machine was making a low, rumbling noise. "Alex, do you hear that?" she asked, glancing at him with concern. "Yeah, I do," Alex replied, frowning. "It shouldn't be making that sound. Let's check the connections." They moved closer to the machine, examining the wires and components. Suddenly, the machine shook violently, and the lights flickered ominously. Sarah's heart raced. "What's happening?" "I don't know," Alex shouted, trying to stabilize the controls. The rumbling grew louder, and the lights turned red, warning them of danger. "We need to shut it down." Without thinking, Sarah rushed to the control panel. She pressed the emergency shutdown button, but nothing happened. "It's not responding," she cried out in panic. "Try the manual override," Alex yelled, his voice filled with urgency. "It's the lever on the side." Sarah's hands trembled as she fumbled for the lever. Finally, she found it and pulled it down with all her strength. The machine let out a deafening roar, and the lights went out completely. In the darkness, Sarah felt a rush of fear. "Did we stop it?" she whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. "I think so," Alex replied, his voice shaky. "But we need to check it out." They slowly turned on their flashlights, illuminating the dim lab. Shadows danced on the walls, creating an eerie atmosphere. As they approached the machine, a sudden spark shot from the device, lighting up the room for a brief moment. Sarah jumped back, her breath hitching in her throat. "What was that?" "I don't know, but it doesn't look good," Alex said, his face pale. "We need to get away from it." They backed away cautiously, not taking their eyes off the machine. Just then, the machine began to tremble again. The ground shook beneath them, and they exchanged frightened glances. "We have to get outside," Sarah urged, her voice rising in panic. They dashed toward the lab door, but as they reached for the handle, the lights flickered back on. The machine was now glowing with an intense light, pulsing as if it were alive. "It's like it's trying to warn us," Sarah shouted. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the room, and the machine exploded with energy. The bright flash filled the lab, and Sarah and Alex were thrown backward, landing on the floor. Sarah's head spun as she tried to get back up. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, scrambling to his feet. He reached for Sarah, helping her up. "I think so," she replied, shaken. "What just happened?" "I don't know, but we have to get out of here," Alex said, looking around at the chaotic scene. The lab was in disarray, papers scattered everywhere, and the machine was now a mass of glowing wires. Together, they ran outside, breathing heavily as they reached the fresh air. They paused to catch their breath, their hearts racing. "That was insane," Sarah exclaimed, trying to process what had just happened. "I didn't expect it to explode like that," Alex said, his eyes wide with shock. "We need to assess the damage and figure out what went wrong." They walked back into the lab, carefully navigating the debris. The machine was smoking, and parts of it were charred. "This is worse than I thought," Sarah said, her voice filled with disappointment. "We worked so hard on this." Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, but we need to find out what caused the explosion. If we don't fix it, we'll never be able to continue our project." Sarah nodded, determination returning to her. "You're right. Let's figure this out together." They set to work, examining the wreckage of the machine. They found several damaged components and a broken crystal. This crystal must have overloaded, Alex said, pointing to the shattered piece. We need to find a way to prevent this from happening again. Sarah agreed, her mind racing with ideas. What if we create a safety feature? Something that automatically shuts down the machine if the energy levels get too high. That's a great idea, Alex said, his eyes lighting up. We can build a new control system that monitors everything closely. It'll help us keep it stable. With renewed determination, they began to sketch out their new plan. They brainstormed ideas, discussing materials and designs that would enhance safety. Their shared focus brought them closer, their teamwork shining through the chaos. As they worked late into the night, they discovered not only how to improve their invention, but also how to strengthen their partnership. They faced challenges head-on, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. Finally, as the stars twinkled above, they stood back to admire their new plans. We may have faced trouble today, but we're stronger for it, Sarah said, a smile returning to her face. Absolutely, Alex replied, his heart full of hope. We'll make this work, together. Exactly, Alex said, his face breaking into a grin. We did it. We learned from our mistakes and made something better. With renewed determination, they assessed the machine and discussed how they could improve it even further. We should make sure to test the safety features more thoroughly next time, Sarah suggested, her mind already racing with ideas. Yes, and we should also start planning for our next big project, Alex added, his excitement bubbling over. Once we get this machine running smoothly, we can work on harnessing energy in new ways. They spent the rest of the day brainstorming and planning. They envisioned a future where their invention could provide clean energy for everyone. Their dreams grew bigger as they explored new possibilities. As they worked late into the night, they felt a sense of fulfillment. They had come a long way, from the chaos of the first explosion to creating a working machine that had the potential to change lives. Their partnership had blossomed into something powerful, and they both knew they could achieve great things together. Thank you for believing in this project, Sarah, Alex said, his voice sincere. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Alex, Sarah replied, her heart warm. I believe in us. Together, we can turn our dreams into reality. With dreams in their hearts and determination in their minds, they prepared for the next chapter of their journey. They had faced challenges, but now they were ready to embrace the future, united by their shared vision. A bright future. The sun rose over the lab, shining brightly through the windows. Alex and Sarah arrived early, filled with excitement and hope. Today was the day they would finally test their completed machine. After weeks of hard work and challenges, they felt ready to take the next big step. Good morning, Sarah, Alex said, his voice bright with enthusiasm. I can't believe we're finally here. Are you ready? Good morning, Alex, Sarah replied, her heart racing with anticipation. I've been thinking about this moment all night. I'm so ready. They moved to the machine, which stood tall and impressive in the center of the lab. It looked different now, more stable and powerful than ever. They had worked hard to build safety features, and they were eager to see how it would perform. Let's do a quick check of everything before we start, Alex suggested, glancing at the control panel. We need to make sure all the connections are secure. Good idea, Sarah agreed. She started going through the checklist, ensuring that everything was in place. As she checked the sensors, she felt a rush of pride. They had come so far, overcoming every obstacle in their way. After the check, they stood side by side in front of the control panel. Are you ready for this? Alex asked, looking at Sarah. I am. Let's make our dreams come true, she replied, her voice filled with determination. Alex took a deep breath and pressed the power button. The machine hummed to life, and lights flickered on. Sarah watched the energy levels closely, her fingers hovering over the buttons. It looked stable so far. Great. Let's gradually increase the energy input, Alex said, adjusting the settings carefully. As they worked together, the machine began to vibrate gently, lights dancing in a rhythmic pattern. The room filled with a soft hum, and they felt a sense of excitement wash over them. "Everything is going smoothly," Sarah said, her heart pounding with joy. "I can't believe it." "Neither can I." "This is incredible," Alex replied, grinning from ear to ear. "Let's push it a little further." They continued to increase the energy input, watching as the machine responded. The lights glowed brighter, and the hum became stronger. Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline. "This is amazing." Just then, the sensors beeped, indicating a rise in energy levels. "Wait, the levels are going up quickly," Sarah said, her voice tinged with concern. "Don't panic. The safety features are in place," Alex reminded her. "We can handle this." Sarah kept her eyes on the readings as Alex adjusted the controls. The machine shook slightly, but the alarms remained silent. "It's stabilizing." "We've got this," she exclaimed, feeling a wave of relief. Then, with a sudden flash, the machine erupted with energy. A brilliant light filled the lab, and for a moment, they were both blinded. When the light faded, they could hardly believe their eyes. "I can't believe it. It's working," Sarah shouted, her heart soaring with excitement. "Yes. Look at the output. This is incredible," Alex said, jumping with joy. The machine was harnessing energy in a way they had only dreamed of. They exchanged amazed glances, feeling the weight of their hard work lift off their shoulders. "We really did it," Sarah said, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "Together. We made this happen together," Alex replied, his heart swelling with pride. After the test, they spent hours discussing the machine's performance. They analyzed the data, making notes on what worked and what could be improved. Their minds buzzed with ideas for future projects. "We should think about how to make this even more efficient," Sarah suggested. "If we can refine the design, we could power entire communities." "I love that idea. Imagine the impact we could have," Alex said, his excitement building. "We could even reach out to schools and organizations to share our technology." With every idea they shared, their dreams grew bigger. They envisioned a future where clean energy was available to everyone. Their partnership had flourished, and they knew they could achieve great things together. Later that evening, as they wrapped up their work, Sarah turned to Alex. "I want to thank you for believing in me. You helped me realize my dreams." "Thank you for believing in us," Alex replied, his voice sincere. "I couldn't have done this without you. You pushed me to think bigger." They shared a moment of silence, reflecting on their journey. They had faced challenges, learned from mistakes, and built something remarkable together. As they packed their things, Sarah's mind raced with ideas for the future. What if we organized a community event to showcase our invention? We could inspire others to create their own projects. "That's a fantastic idea," Alex said, his eyes lighting up. "We can show them how to harness clean energy and make a difference. It could start a movement." Sarah's heart raced at the thought. "We can invite schools, local businesses, and families. We can teach them about science and technology." "Exactly. Let's start planning right away," Alex said, filled with enthusiasm. As they left the lab that evening, they felt a sense of accomplishment and purpose. Their journey had only just begun, and the future looked bright. Together, they were ready to take on new challenges and inspire others to follow their dreams. Hand in hand, they stepped into the night, filled with hope for the future. They knew that with teamwork, passion, and a little creativity, they could change the world. Their adventure was only starting, and they were excited to see where it would lead.